is Amy Gabrila, and I am with the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health. And it is my privilege today to be able to talk to you a little bit about older populations and gambling. What does gambling look like in the elder community? I hope you enjoy this presentation. My hope is that you learn something from it, or it makes you think about something in a different light. And I hope you have fun. Topics we're going to discuss today include: what is gambling? What is our definition of gambling? Everybody has a slightly different one. We'll get you guys' take on that. We're going to talk about why older adults gamble and what games that they prefer to play. We're going to talk about some of the signs of healthy and happy and fun gambling. Positive benefits of gambling for seniors. We're going to give you a picture of what that looks like. We are also going to talk about signs when gambling might not be fun anymore. Some of the risk factors and some of the signs we're going to look for in older adults if gambling is becoming not fun anymore. We're going to talk about loss of connectivity and socialization in the senior communities. I'm sure, as many of you know, with COVID especially, there's a lot less places to find those connections in brick and mortar organizations right now, and how casinos are in a way becoming the new senior center. I'm going to talk to you about what GameSense is and how we can help with all things gambling in all different demographics and communities. And then we're going to do some final thoughts and things to remember about this presentation. So we are going to dive right in, guys. I hope you enjoy this. The first thing we're going to talk about is, what is gambling? It seems like an easy question, but everybody kind of has a slightly different answer. There are always some things that connect people's answers. So for my viewers at home who are listening, if I asked you, what's your definition of gambling, what do you think some of the key elements of that definition would be? I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about that, and then we're going to give you our definition. So you guys at home, there are certain words that always come up with a definition of gambling. So if you're sitting at home and you said something like risking something and not knowing what's going to happen, being nervous about maybe betting money and not knowing what the result is going to be, absolutely true. So at the Mass Council on Gaming and Health, our preferred definition that we like to use is this one: risking something of value on the outcome of an event when the probability of winning is less than certain. So again, some key words in that: risking, being uncertain of how the event is going to end. All right, so if you notice, many people talk about money when we talk about gambling, and that's totally true. Usually when we talk about gambling, money is involved. But we want to make sure you guys understand that it's not necessarily always money. Anything of value to you, something important to you. So not necessarily always money, which is kind of the big difference between this definition and some others. So why do people gamble? Gambling's been going on for thousands and thousands of years, basically since humans were walking the earth. Why do people gamble? And maybe specifically, why would seniors gamble? A lot of the same reasons other people do, but if I ask you guys at home, why do you like to gamble? Or someone you know, why do they like to gamble? What are they looking for with that? We have some stats here, specifically to seniors in Massachusetts. 72% of seniors have gambled in the last year in Massachusetts. 32% gamble yearly, 19% gamble monthly, and 20% gamble weekly. So we know seniors enjoy gambling. We all have that grandmother or mother that likes to take a trip to the casino, maybe play some bingo, some keno, and that goes for all groups, but we all know a senior that likes to gamble. Why? Again, I asked the question, why do we like to gamble? We know people are gambling. Well, it's a lot of the same reasons for everybody, and by the numbers, the biggest percentage is to what? To win money. Of course we want to win money. I don't know any gambler that goes to a casino or buys an instant lottery ticket that says, I hope I lose. All right, so we are all in the same boat with wanting to win money. 27% play for entertainment or excitement, which is great. 18% play to support a worthy cause or a charity. 15% gamble to socialize with either family or friends, and 4% gamble to escape. And what we mean by escape is a lot of times when people are suffering in other aspects of their life, maybe they have some stressful events going on, a lot of times going to a slot machine or playing a game can kind of put them in a zone where they're not worried about that as much. What I will say, 32% gamble to win money. Unfortunately, that's maybe not the best way to make money. Even though we all want to, it seems fun, it seems easy. The bottom line, quick GameSense tip for you, gambling should never be about making money. Sure, we want to, and it's great if we do, but that should never be our sole purpose for gambling. You want to play for fun and entertainment, not necessarily to win. Now, wins happen. We all know somebody that's won. And if a win happens, that is awesome. But you should hope to win, but expect to lose when you're talking about gambling. So what do people play? There's plenty of gambling options out there, from lottery and Keno to raffles and bingo to casino-style gambling to sports betting. There's all kinds of different choices for us when it comes to gambling. So many different forms. The bottom line is always choose games, number one, that you enjoy. So again, not just doing it to make money, it's something that entertains you and you have fun, and also, more importantly, that fit your budget. You never want to be playing something that's going to put you in a bad position with money or with relationships or anything else. So choose games that are fun and choose games that fit within your budget. So, audience, if I asked you, what's your preferred game to play? If you are gamblers occasionally, what games make you happy? Is it playing cards? Is it scratch tickets? Is it a charity bingo game? So we did ask, we have research for seniors on what they enjoy playing. And this breakdown goes as follows. 61% of seniors play lottery. That's not really surprising. I know I occasionally grab a scratchy. A lot of seniors have said in this study that lottery is what they enjoy playing, 61%. 35% enjoy raffles. 20% participated in casino-style gambling at the casinos here in Massachusetts or the region. 4.5% played bingo, and 3.5% bet on horse racing. Now, just a little interesting tidbit, 4.5% played bingo. When I heard that, that was actually shocking to me. Maybe it's just because we kind of have these misconceptions or these pictures of, older adults playing bingo in their churches or at the senior centers, and they do. The interesting part about this is the same exact percentage of people in the age group of 21 to 35 enjoy bingo. So a lot of times we don't think about younger people enjoying bingo, but it's exactly the same percentage of older adults over 65 and younger people 21 to 35 that enjoy bingo in the Commonwealth. So let me ask you guys this, because I'm sure there's somebody out there in my audience today that has hit a jackpot or had a big win. And there is nothing like when those bells go off and you have to have somebody come over and give you a hand pay on a slot machine, or you hit nice and big on a scratch ticket. It's a pretty awesome feeling, right? Quick tip, beware of the big win. Why? Why, Amy? Why would I be scared of a big win? That sounds like something I would love to have. You're absolutely right. That being said, big wins are rare. Okay, so if you do get one, enjoy it, but understand that these are not the type of wins that are going to happen all the time. Sometimes when they happen, we kind of get this impression that, oh, wow, that was really easy. Unfortunately, it is not really easy, so enjoy it if it happens, but understand the likelihood of it happening again. Remember, these types of paybacks occur rarely. Never change your gambling frequency or activity because you've had a big win. Just enjoy it and take it for the gift that it is. Don't assume that you will always receive these kind of prizes, because unfortunately they don't happen often. Always stay within your budget and have fun. Play it smart, Massachusetts. So what about seniors in particular and casinos? All right, casino gambling. Honestly, seniors are a very valuable demographic for casinos. Making seniors happy in a casino is taken seriously by casino operators. It's a demographic that they do not want to lose. They offer bus rides and transportation, often free or at a small cost. They will often attach free slot play or table games wager play to that bus ticket. And a lot of times it will also include things like meal vouchers, coupons, or discounts in the restaurants or stores. Seniors love giveaways. Casinos live for giveaways, whether it's a pots and pans set, it could be anything that the casino is giving away. They definitely are looking at seniors to be involved in those type of giveaways. So these are the perks, not just for seniors, but for everybody in a casino environment where you might get these types of things when you enter the building and have a player's card. So what does happy and healthy gambling look like? Because that's where we want everybody to be. We want people to enjoy themselves if they choose gambling as a form of entertainment. So what would that picture look like? Somebody, either you or somebody in your life that gambles and gambles in a happy and healthy way. What does that look like? We're going to give you some signs of healthy play. Gambling for fun, like we talked about, not to make money. Again, if you do win money, that's great, but it's not your primary reason for play. You're gambling for fun. Having a budget and sticking to it. Because I won't lie to you, you guys tell me, I have often, set budgets or, had plans. And then it's very hard for us as humans sometimes if we're having fun or if it's something that we want to continue doing. Sometimes it's really hard to stick to that budget. So it's not just about making a gambling budget, but making sure you have the ability to stick to it. Setting time limits. We talk about money limits, we talk about budgets, but setting time limits can be just as important. I'm sure you guys know that there's no clocks in casinos. Things are changing a little bit as far as there's a little bit more light in the space, but that is all on purpose, and sometimes we get lost. We're playing the machine, we're having a good time at a table game, and all of a sudden, it's 6 hours gone by and we thought it was 2. So it's also a very good idea to set a time limit. Setting win limits. This is a new concept. Again, everybody talks about setting a budget so that you only lose what you can afford to play. Setting win limits recently has kind of been researched, and it's just as important as setting a loss limit or a budget. How many times have your friends come home and said, "Oh, I was up money, but then I gave it all back"? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You can leave the casino with money. I know, it's a crazy, crazy concept, but you're going to have to believe me, you can leave that building with money in your pocket. Whether it's wins that you acquired there, or maybe you didn't spend all of your budget, it is not against the rules to leave with money. So for instance, an example of this would be, I came in with $200, I doubled it. Is that enough for me to leave? Have I set a win limit of, I doubled my money, I'm happy, I had a meal, I had fun, is that enough for me to leave? So setting win limits is just as important as setting a budget. Balancing gambling with other enjoyable activities. Again, if gambling is an activity that you enjoy, we want you to go out and do that in a healthy and fun fashion. That being said, always, just like with anything else, whether it's shopping, watching TV, any of these things that we enjoy doing that kind of relax us, always balance them with other activities. So whether that means spending time with your grandkids, reading, any activity that you can balance along with the gambling is a good thing. Always take breaks. Sometimes people will be in a slot machine for hours without getting up to stretch their legs, grab a coffee, any of these things that can kind of get your mind set back in the right place, keep you physically healthy, mentally healthy. So always remember when you're playing or really doing anything to give yourself breaks. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. It kind of can take you out of that zone for just a minute so that you can reevaluate where you're at and what you want to do. So when you're at the casino in particular, just stand up and stretch. stretch a little bit, maybe grab a coffee or water or beverage, maybe take a quick walk around, and just always remember, you really need that to keep yourself physically and mentally healthy. Just so you guys know, we're talking about signs of healthy and happy gambling. Over 63% of seniors gamble recreationally. So a majority of seniors are doing just this. You know, they're taking into account budgets and limits and breaks and balancing and playing for fun. So that's a very good thing. So I have a little story here about a couple that I encountered at MGM Springfield. A couple there in their mid-70s, been married 58 years, I believe, and they are the perfect example of that couple that comes into the casino and enjoys gambling recreationally and are having fun and they're happy. So this couple, they come in twice a week. Their names are Ann and Rick, and they always stop by and see us and say hi. They always have a budget. They never bring debit cards or credit cards with them. They come in with the cash they expect to play while they're at the casino. They always stop by one of the restaurants halfway through the time period that they're going to play and enjoy a nice meal together. And then they always stick to a time limit, never any more than 4 hours are they in the building. Win, lose, draw. They have their meal. They take a walk around. They enjoy some play on the slot machines with a budget. And if they're up $80 after 4 hours, they leave. If they have spent their whole budget, they never go back and get more, they leave. So they are a perfect example of using time limits, of setting budgets, of having a routine, taking breaks, enjoying a meal. So perfect example of that happy and healthy gambling that we want to see that we're talking about. So another thing that's a bright side about seniors and gambling. Research suggests that there is a positive correlation between good health and recreational gambling in seniors. Gambling has an impact potentially for seniors on activity levels, keeping people active, maintaining vital socialization, making sure that they are out and connecting with folks, stimulating the brain and increasing cognitive levels, and improving motor skills. So there is definitely some research coming out that suggests that certain aspects of gambling in the elder community is actually positive, has positive correlations to good health. So that's a great thing. Again, if you stay within budget, so always remember, we're saying there's a bright side here, but that is assuming that you are taking into account those things we talked about, like setting budgets, taking breaks, etc. So we know what happy and healthy gambling looks like in seniors. What does, maybe not so healthy anymore, problematic gambling look like in seniors? So some signs that it's not fun anymore, and you guys, again, can probably guess some of these. When you have a preoccupation with gambling, it's the first thing you think about when you wake up, when you go to bed, it's kind of the number one thing on your mind, then that could be a sign that it's not fun anymore. The need to bet increasing amounts for the same excitement. So we all know this, maybe you're betting 40 cents on a slot machine, you're playing for a while, now all of a sudden it's not as exciting anymore. Maybe if I bet 80 cents, it'll be more exciting and I'll have the chance to win more. So this need to bet increasing amounts, to be able to get the same amount of enjoyment and excitement out of your gambling experience. Repeated attempts to cut back, control, or stop gambling. So folks that may be kind of coming to the conclusion that maybe they're gambling too much, they make a real attempt to stop and yet can't. That could be a sign that gambling's not fun anymore. Restlessness or irritability when attempting to stop. So again, you've kind of noticed something, you attempt to change it, you can't, and you become very restless and irritable at that. Gambling to escape negative feelings or emotions. So we talked about escape a little right at the very beginning. I believe it was 4% of seniors said that they gamble to escape. The problem here, just like with anything else, when we're replacing something, when we're attempting to make the loss of something else or anxiety or stresses in our life, if we're attempting to escape from that through something else like gambling, you'll see people do this sometimes with drinking or other things, then not necessarily the best way to go, because you're replacing one thing with something else that might become a problem for you. Chasing losses. So what this means is, I'll give you an example. I go to the casino. I lose my first $100. Now I'm angry and I want to win. My big goal is to win my $100 back. And I say, if I can just win my $100 back, I swear I'll stop, I'll go home, just want to get my money back. And unfortunately, the way gambling works is the longer you play, typically the more money you're going to lose. So as you start chasing those initial losses, this can snowball into extreme losses. And the more you lose, the more you want to win back the money you lose, right? That's human nature. I need to get back what I lost. So one sign that it might not be fun anymore is that you are chasing those losses, trying to recoup what you lost. Lying about gambling is a big sign. So a lot of people might either not tell family and friends they're gambling, or they might kind of exaggerate and not say how much they're gambling. So anything where we start telling those little lies about what we're doing and how much we're gambling could certainly be a sign. Relying on others to give them money to relieve a financial crisis due to gambling. So when folks start losing money and then having to borrow from friends or family to cover that debt because now they can't pay their rent or their mortgage or their bills, anytime that we're relying on other people to help us recoup money that we lost gambling, that could be a sign that gambling is not fun anymore. And again, all of these together, one of these by itself, I am not saying somebody has a gambling problem. This all has to be looked at on a larger scale with everything, but any of these could indicate that somebody might want to start thinking about the fact that gambling might not be fun anymore. So some of the risk factors for seniors when gambling might not be fun anymore for them. Seniors in particular, some of these are going to also translate into other demographics, but some of these are specific to seniors, or at least more specific. So for instance here, seniors typically live on a fixed income or have limited financial resources. So obviously when you take something like gambling and you put it into the equation, when we are not sure what the outcome is going to be from spending that money gambling, then that is definitely a risk factor. When you know you don't have additional income coming in, that could maybe help if you lost money gambling. More free time than expected. Most seniors are retired. They find that they have a lot more free time. So that could be something that would trend them to maybe pick up gambling as a hobby. Loneliness and loss of social networks. Seniors, your kids, maybe if you have them, are grown, you're by yourselves, you might have suffered other losses. So that loneliness factor, again, if you go into a casino, there's people there. They're happy to see you. They're there to give you the red carpet type service. There's people around. So that could definitely step in and take care of some of the loneliness that seniors tend to feel. Coping with losses, all right, whether it's chronic illness, loss of loved ones, a lot of time this ties into that whole escape thing. Okay, you're suffering losses, you're lonely, you have a lack of social networks and connection. All right, so you go to the casino and you feel like you have that network again. Inability to continue previously desirable activities due to physical health. So maybe you were someone that used to enjoy golfing all the time or taking walks with your dog. And maybe for some physical reason, you are no longer able to do those activities as much as you used to. So again, replacing something that you care about with something else and trying to get the same satisfaction. And also with seniors, we have to look at the risk factor of cognitive decline. All right, so not always, but sometimes if we're not making the best, most informed decisions, then that can play a factor into the potential for issues with gambling. 8% of seniors are at risk for gambling disorder. So just so you know, that is basically right on par with the national average and the average for the general population in Massachusetts. So it doesn't appear that seniors are at any far greater risk as far as that goes, but we would obviously like to see that number lower. 1.6% of seniors meet criteria for gambling disorder. So again, at least that number went down, 8% at risk, 1.6% actually meet the criteria for having a gambling disorder. And that is actually slightly lower, just so you know, than the general population in Massachusetts. So that's a good thing. One of the things that we really talk about specifically with seniors, again, is the struggle for connection and community, and especially in the age of COVID. We know that so many brick and mortar organizations and businesses have either shut down or limited their services. So even things like senior centers right now, they may be open, but they're running those essential programs. They're running food services or transportation. They're not necessarily having, social programs, where we have people together. And the other issue with that is we've become very virtual. We do lots of things on Zoom meetings now. We do things on the computer, and not all seniors are familiar with that technology or comfortable with it. So there's challenges even without COVID, but now with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's more challenges. By 2022, that's next year, almost, 1 out of every 4 shopping malls in the country will close for good. Why does this matter? Well, shopping malls were places that not just seniors, but people would go to walk around, hang out, maybe shop a little, grab something to eat. Libraries and community centers are also struggling, often due to budget cuts. Again, places where seniors would maybe gather that didn't involve gambling, that involved social programs and finding a community. So again, many of those traditional brick and mortar places where seniors enjoyed gathering, unfortunately right now are shutting their doors or struggling. A lot of community leaders and researchers are concerned about that situation because isolation can occur, especially in the elder population, due to these trends with these closures. So what are people doing for connection and community in the senior community? Well, we have this phenomenon that people are talking about recently about casinos being that new senior center, that new place where maybe people went before, but now they might be even going a little bit more because of what we just talked about with those closures. Casinos offer constant entertainment and stimulation. Although I will argue that even casinos are a little different now due to COVID. Some of those entertainment options, a lot of the restaurants are either limited or closed. There's not so much live entertainment. People can't quite interact together the same way as they did before in casinos either, which on the one hand, what can happen is now that gambling is essentially the main reason to be in a casino, if seniors are choosing that because it is open, it's one of the few things that is open, then now the gambling becomes more of the focus because those other things are not there anymore. So that is something certainly to keep an eye on. Casinos are handicap accessible and they accommodate older patrons. Like I told you before, they are a valuable demographic to casinos. Over a quarter of people 65 or older visited casinos in 2012. Okay, so that's a fairly big amount of people that are enjoying the casino atmosphere. 1 in 10 seniors admitted spending more than they felt comfortable with. Okay, so again, we talk about this budget setting. We talk about wanting to go out and enjoy gambling, but making sure we keep it safe and healthy for ourselves. So 1 in 10, I wish it was less than that. There's points, obviously, where people have decided that they want to play a little bit more and they go over a budget that they feel comfortable with. Again, as other social options become limited, casinos are becoming a place to find that connection. A large majority of seniors cite, quote unquote, something to do as the main reason they visit casinos. So again, during COVID, now with the new restrictions in casinos, with restaurants not being open, all the time with no live entertainment. Retail stores may be closed or limited. So all of these things seniors might have used to do just for something to do because the casino was open are now gone, and we are left basically with the gambling. So a large majority of people just want something to do in the senior community. But now a lot of those other non-gambling options in the casinos are not available. One other thing we definitely want to touch on within the elder community, there is some research right now going on that suggests that older women specifically are at a high risk for developing gambling-related issues. So according to the AARP, senior women are the fastest growing segment of the population for developing gambling-related issues. And I have a quote here from Keith White, who is the director of the National Council for Problem Gambling. It reads as follows: "The new face of problem gambling in America has become a senior woman who has lost a spouse or become alienated from her children, but has embraced slot machines and quite rapidly develops an addiction." So again, within the senior community as a whole, we do want to make sure that we understand that senior women specifically are one of the fastest growing groups to maybe have gambling not be so much fun anymore. So just something to keep an eye on. So I do have a story too. I told you a story about a couple that kind of embodied that whole happy, healthy gambling. I do also have a story about somebody who struggled. So this is a lady I met in the casino that I gave some resources to and helped out. But Lynn had lost a loved one. She had been in a relationship for 25 years, and that ended. She really did not have any other family besides this person. She had just retired, so she had a lot of time on her hands. She had worked in mental health her whole life. She worked as a psychiatric nurse. She also had co-occurring mental health issues herself. So what I mean by that is a lot of times when you have somebody with an addiction, say, let's say a gambling addiction, it's not always the only thing that's going on. A lot of times mental health issues co-occur with addiction issues. It's not often one thing. So with Lynn, she also had some mental health issues of her own, had been diagnosed as bipolar, and she basically had run through her life savings gambling because it made her feel good. She enjoyed the people at the casino. They treated her like family. She would go there. She would enjoy playing the slot machines. She would escape into them, but she would never leave with money, and she always went over her budget because she didn't want to leave the environment. So on a good note, Lynn reached out to us and did receive some resources and help with that. And if you get anything out of today, and we'll get to this in a few minutes, there is help out there, and it works, okay? But we need to make sure we get rid of that stigma and make sure that people know it's available. So even in a case of struggle with Lynn, we made sure that we were able to connect her with what she needed to hopefully get her on her path to recovery in this gambling journey. So we're gonna do a little review right here, because I know I've talked a lot, and hopefully you guys haven't shut off the TV or turned on ESPN. All right, so hopefully you're all still with me. We're going to do a little review here. About 3/4 of mass seniors gamble, and popular forms include lottery, raffles, casino, and bingo. Older adults gamble for many of the same reasons as other populations, like we talked about, making money for fun and entertainment, to escape, to support worthy causes. Responsible gambling involves behaviors like setting that budget, setting time limits and win limits, taking breaks, and balancing your gambling fun with other activities. Gambling can, and this is great, have beneficial effects for seniors, including positive cognitive function, maintaining motor skills, and increased socialization. The not so good on the review. Problem gambling involves behaviors like chasing losses, needing to gamble more, restlessness and irritability when trying to quit, hiding how much you gamble, and needing to be bailed out from gambling debt. Seniors do have risk factors for developing complications from gambling. Unfortunately, changing social trends as well as COVID can influence how much seniors are gambling right now, and senior women in particular are at risk for having issues with gambling. So this is basically the second half of my presentation today for you guys. We're going to talk about GameSense. What is GameSense, and how can we as a program assist seniors? So what is GameSense? GameSense is a gambling neutral, responsible gambling brand. The brand was founded in Vancouver, British Columbia, but we use it here in the state of Massachusetts as well. We are mandated actually to be present in all Massachusetts casinos with a dedicated center and a knowledgeable staff, including myself. So when legislation was passed to open casinos in Mass, they made sure that a responsible gaming brand would be present in the casinos. Our goals include building relationships with patrons and communities in order to educate, support, promote, and connect them with accurate information and resources concerning both responsible and problem gambling. Oh, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. We'll get into it a little bit here. So how do we do that? Make that connection with folks. Well, typically in the casino environment, when I'm at work, what we want to do is talk to guests and work to discover some common interests or passions, because that always opens up a conversation with folks, whether you get them talking about their grandkids or the Red Sox or a book they read or a movie they saw. This helps to open up that responsible gambling conversation. We want to build a trusting relationship with folks where they feel comfortable talking to us. We meet people and communities where they are at. You don't want to talk? We're not going to force you to talk. You want to talk? You want to come talk about your grandkids? You want to talk about your slot machine? Anything you want to talk about, we want you to feel comfortable with that connection with us. So education. We're going to play a little game here. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to hear you guys' answer, but I'm going to leave these little quiz questions up for a second so you can think about it a little bit. So we're going to play a little game here. Question number 1. If I almost hit the jackpot on a slot machine, then it is starting to run hot and the jackpot should be coming soon. True or false? Do you think if you've almost hit a jackpot on a slot machine, you've seen those symbols and they've almost lined up a bunch of times and you feel like you're right there, do you think that that means that that machine is getting hot and you're going to hit the jackpot soon? True or false? Well, I know a lot of people think this, and it's one of the most common myths, but the truth is that is false. Okay? All slot machines run on a random number generator program. What occurred last spin, 20 spins ago, 50 spins ago, has no effect on any other spin or what's going to happen next. Near misses happen when a player only needs one more symbol to line up on a reel to win a large prize or jackpot. So how many times have you seen you have the jackpot symbol on the first reel, the jackpot symbol on the second reel, and then on the third reel it's hanging right above or below that line where if it had just moved a little tiny bit more, you would have hit the jackpot. So this has a psychological effect on us, right? It might make us dig in our pocket for more money or start getting really excited thinking it's coming. Just know that this is called a near miss and it means nothing. Okay, as far as what's going to happen next. Okay, when this happens, it's common for people to think they're close to winning, but these near misses mean nothing. They're just another combination that random number generator program can come up with. You're not any closer or further, quite frankly, from hitting a jackpot because you've seen them. So just know when you see these, if you want to keep playing the machine, keep playing, but know that you're not necessarily any closer to a big hit. Speaking of near misses, we talk about them with slot machines like I just did, but also there's research now on scratch tickets and the near miss structure. And we talked about how over 60% of seniors enjoy playing the lottery, and that would include instant lottery games like scratch tickets. Research is now available on the structural characteristics of popular lottery scratch games. Scratch tickets are basically constructed to create a near miss effect similar to slot machines. So that same psychological effect and physiological effect that we're talking about when we see the near miss on the slot can also happen with instant lottery tickets. So your numbers are 1, 5, and 17, and number 2 comes out, and number 6 comes out. You're one number away every time from where you would be a winner. Again, structurally set up that way, just like a slot, doesn't mean you're not going to win the next time, but it certainly doesn't mean you are going to win the next time. All right, one more question. Slot machines are programmed to offer many small wins. Sometimes these wins are a smaller amount than the player wagered on the spin. So in other words, I bet 80 cents on a spin of a slot machine, and I win 40 cents. Did I win? That's the big question, because the machine is going to tell me I won. I'm going to hear bells go off. I'm going to see lights. I'm going to think I won on that spin. But in reality, I bet 80 cents to win 40 cents. So what did I actually do? I actually lost 40 cents. All right, so the answer to this question is true. There are many small wins that go out that are less than the value of what the person bet. And especially on popular machines like penny machines, which are the most popular machines in the casino, even though we all know that you don't bet a penny, right? You never just bet in a penny. But they offer prizes that have been coined false wins or losses disguised as wins, right? Because the bells go off, but we actually lost more money than we put in. Machines will still light up. So again, we're getting all that stimulation that is suggesting that something good happened, when in reality, if we look at the screen, we now have less credits than we did before we spun. So something else to kind of look at and keep in mind. So what else does GameSense do? Well, we encourage, right? We are going to encourage positive gambling approaches and healthy tips for play. So again, everything we've talked about so far today, what does happy and healthy gambling look like? Again, not trying to drill it into you, but maybe I am a little bit. Setting budgets, setting time limits, taking breaks, balancing. We are here to make sure that people are informed about these things so that they can enjoy gambling in a healthy way. So some tips that we would use to encourage positive play: leave your ATM cards at home. Okay, people get caught up in this so many times. You know, their intentions are good. They might plan on coming in and spending 50 bucks or 100 bucks. But if you have that card in your pocket, if you've taken it with you, it is so easy to just walk over to that ATM that charges you 5 something per time, all right? And people will get caught up in that cycle of going back for more money, whether it's to chase losses or whether it's because they just enjoy playing and don't want to leave yet, even though their budget, you know, has been fulfilled. Plan how long you want to play before you start. I mean, I'm a planner. I have lists for everything. Not everybody is. Some people are more spontaneous, but it really is a good idea before you leave to say, all right, I plan on being at MGM Springfield or Encore Boston Harbor for 3 hours. That's my plan. I want to be back in time, you know, for my show this afternoon or to see my grandchildren. Always good to make that plan. Again, take breaks. Take them. Listen, the casinos are going to be there. The slot machines are going to be there. The tables are going to be there. It is okay if you get up and take a 10-minute break. Do not borrow money to gamble. I mean, borrow money is tough enough as it is. When you're doing it to gamble, now you're not even sure when and if you will ever be able to get that money back. You know, it's bad enough for all of us every day with credit cards or people that take interest for stuff that we need. When you're doing it for gambling, you never know if you're going to be able to get that money back to that person. Again, can't emphasize it enough, don't chase losses. If you go through your budget, then that was your budget for the day. Accept that loss as the cost of entertainment. Just like you would go to a restaurant and you would spend money. You're not going to leave that restaurant with more money than you came with. You know, you expected to go to dinner and spend a certain amount. Treat the casino the same way. I'm going out to have fun. I expect to lose this much. And hey, maybe there might be a time or two when I win some money. But accept that budget as the cost of that entertainment for that night. And again, balance gambling with other leisure activities. Balance is always a good thing. And this one's big, and this is where GameSense can definitely come into play. understand the games you play. So often we see people come in and they spend money and they play and they enjoy it and honestly don't really understand how the games they play work, whether it be the odds and the probabilities, how the games are structured, what bets are better for the player versus worse. They don't really understand how these games work, whether it's a slot machine or a table game. So GameSense is definitely a group that if you want to understand and be more informed about what you play, we are there for you. We can walk you through how all the games work so that when you sit down, you're going to know exactly how things work. Doesn't mean you're going to win. Just because you're informed doesn't mean you're going to win, but it is going to probably influence you making better decisions because you understand something. All right, couple more quiz questions because I love to do this. Let's play again. Question for you. If I can just play long enough, I am sure I can get my money back. True or false? Do you think if you had enough of a bankroll and you play long enough, eventually you get your money back? Oh, I got some of these going on. And that would be correct. That is false. Again, we've talked about chasing losses. They most often lead to greater losses. The longer you play, unfortunately, the more likely that casino house edge or advantage will continue. Every game in a casino has an advantage for the casino, for the house. Some are small, some are a lot bigger. But in the long run, and I'm not saying that you cannot have an individual gaming session where you win money, but the longer you play, if you play, over a year's period, if you play multiple times, the longer you play, the more those numbers are going to get back to where they're supposed to be, and the casino is going to hold an edge. So large bankrolls are not going to change the math of how these games are structured to have an edge for the casino. One last question. Penny machines have the highest payback percentage of all slots and typically return the highest amount back to players. So what we mean by that, guys, quickly, payback percentage is the amount of money that a slot machine will give back as winnings to the whole player population. So not one individual player, to everybody that sits down at the machine. And this is over time. All right, so how much of that actually goes back to players, and whatever doesn't go back to players is casino profit. So do we think that penny machines have the highest amount going back to the players and typically return the most? You guys may not know this one. This is not as common. So the answer to that is false. Penny machines typically actually have the lowest overall payback to players. Usually the higher denomination slots, the bigger the return to players. And let me make sure you guys understand, I am not suggesting you go play $5 slots because the return to player is larger than on a penny machine. As I've said a few times today, you're always picking a game that fits your budget and you have fun with. Okay, so realize that even though a higher denomination slot, like a dollar slot or a $5 slot, may technically return more money overall to players, they also are taking more money in, right? There's a big difference between doing a $10 bet per spin and 80 cents. All right, so always make sure that your budget fits what you're playing. Another thing that GameSense does, so we know we educate, okay? We know that we are going to make sure that people understand how games work. We're going to make sure people are doing those things we talked about that promote happy and healthy gambling, like setting budgets, etc. We are also going to promote informed player choice. So guys, do you decide how much money you can afford to spend before you go to the casino? And do you stick to it? Again, we talked about this, setting a budget and actually having the ability to stick to it. So in Massachusetts right now, we have a program called Play My Way. And I'm wondering if anybody in this viewership right now has a Play My Way account. Possibly not in this area, we're not sure, but right now we have a program called Play My Way that is only available right now at Plainridge Park Casino in Plainville, Mass. However, the anticipation is that it will be coming soon to both Encore Boston Harbor and MGM Springfield. So what exactly is Play My Way? For those of you who don't know and don't have an account, it's basically a voluntary budgeting tool. So anybody, any patron at a casino, you have to have a casino rewards card at that casino, and you can utilize Play My Way. You do have to have a player reward card though. What this does is it allows slot players to set their budget. So what happens is you sign up for the program and you might say, I want to only spend $50 every time I come to the casino. And what will happen is when you insert your card into your slot machine, and as you play, this program will send you friendly reminders as you start approaching that limit. It's not going to shut you off. It's not a hard stop. It's just a gentle reminder to you of what you said you wanted your budget to be. It's taking you out of that zone for 1 second to just remind you of what you thought was good and healthy for you. So again, currently available at Plainridge Park, but hopefully coming soon. So again, set a realistic budget and stick to it. But this is one program that we hope, keeps going. We've had some pretty wild success with it at Plainridge Park with over 22,000 people enrolled. So hopefully when it comes to the other 2 casinos, we'll have other slot players that utilize this. Connection and compassion. Do you guys have any knowledge of what resources might be available to help you if gambling is no longer fun? Because a lot of people don't even know some of these resources that are available, or like I've talked about earlier, there's a stigma unfortunately attached to problem gambling that people either want to bury it or not talk about it. So we want to, number one, get everybody informed about what's out there and make them understand that there is no shame for asking for help. We are here and treatment works. Okay, so do you guys know of any available resources that can help you if you're deciding that gambling might not be fun anymore? A lot of people might know a couple of these. One that we, given the state of Massachusetts that the GameSense program is involved in, along with the Mass Gaming Commission, is our voluntary self-exclusion program. So what we do is help people complete self-exclusion paperwork if they decide it's time to take a break. So how this works, for those of you who have never heard of this, you can come in and sign up to basically exclude yourself from all casinos in Massachusetts. If you've decided that you've tried to cut back, you're spending too much, you don't trust yourself to not be able to keep yourself out of there, then we can help you with that. So once signed up, patrons cannot gamble at any casino in Massachusetts. The enrollment options for folks are 1 year, so you can do a 1-year exclusion of the casinos, 3-year, 5 years, or you can do a lifetime, but you can only do a lifetime after you've completed one of the others. All marketing and communications and comp services from the casino will be frozen, so you won't be receiving any mailers, flyers, or emails from the casino trying to get you in there for promotions or trying to see why you haven't been there. That should all be shut off. And all credit, if you do have casino credit, is suspended and rewards points are vacated. So if you or someone you know might benefit from taking a break from the casinos, a GameSense advisor would be more than happy to speak to you about this program, get into more detail with you, make sure you know exactly what it entails. But it is definitely something that people have taken advantage of in Massachusetts since we opened the casinos. And for some people, that's all they need. But we do also suggest to people when they do the voluntary self-exclusion program that they connect with other resources as well. Right? Because taking a break might be what's needed for some people, but possibly joining peer groups or seeing a counselor about gambling or doing some other things to help in your recovery along with the voluntary self-exclusion program, that is something we definitely do promote. But there are plenty of options out there, and GameSense can certainly tell you about them. You have programs, community programs like Gamblers Anonymous and Gam-Anon. A lot of you have probably heard of Gamblers Anonymous. Just so you know, Gam-Anon runs in a similar vein, except it is for folks that are trying to help a loved one. So it's for friends and family, basically, of gamblers. But the same kind of structural setup, 12-step program, spiritually based. Smart Recovery is also another one, and that doesn't focus on just gambling. There are other addictions that go with it, but it's an option for folks that don't like the structure of a GA program. We also can hook people up with gambling certified clinicians in the state, so somebody who specifically has been trained in dealing with clients that have gambling disorder. We can provide financial support and resources. 15% of older adults report knowing someone that they feel gambles too much. So again, a lot of us know somebody. We've seen the signs in somebody, we've seen the changes. So again, knowing these resources, knowing they're out there, how to connect to them, which you can through the GameSense program, and understanding that there is no shame in getting help, getting rid of that stigma surrounding getting help for gambling. What we really want to do is empower older adults. We want you to become knowledgeable about the games that you're playing, which will allow you to make informed choices about your gambling, what you play, how much you play, how long you play. We want people to be able to have an open and constructive conversation about gambling and games. Okay, and again, because of stigma, sometimes that's hard. We want to make sure people understand that we are an open and empathic group that is here to listen and connect and help people. So again, be open to learning about and using all those available resources and supports because they're there to help. Have fun and play it smart. All right, we're almost done, guys. So a few GameSense suggestions here at the end. Play for fun. Again, you've heard me say it a few times. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but these are all very important basic things, to keep in mind when you're gambling. Set a budget. Consider win limits, loss limits, and time limits when gambling. Take frequent breaks. Give your mind and body a rest. No matter what you're doing in this world, always give your mind and body a rest. Understand and know the games you play so that you can make informed choices. And always ask questions, whether it's a table games dealer, a slot attendant at the casino, a GameSense advisor at the GameSense Center at all 3 of the Massachusetts casinos. We are here to help. We want to know your questions. We will do everything we can to answer them. If we can't get you an answer, we'll find one for you. But don't be afraid to ask questions. All right, guys, final thoughts for today. And I have very much enjoyed this. I hope you've all stuck with me. While most seniors gamble safely and fun, there are some risk factors for older adults. These include fixed incomes, chronic illness, decline of cognitive functions, loss of loved ones or any loss, closure or underfunding of other social options. Again, we talked about those community centers, senior centers not operating at full capacity, malls closing, libraries, struggling to stay afloat. So again, keeping in mind that casinos are available, but we want to keep an eye on that. And remember, GameSense can help you guys. We're going to educate in a fun and informative way, hopefully. We'll talk about the games you play, answer any questions that you have. We're going to promote you and encourage you to play positive, to have fun and be healthy and make positive choices and consider your options. We're going to connect anybody who feels the need to resources should gambling not be fun anymore. Excuse me. Just know that we are there for you. We are at centers in all 3 Massachusetts casinos. We can answer any of your questions, or if you just want to talk and chat. So please utilize us. We can connect you to anything else you need. I have really, really enjoyed talking with you guys today. I hope you guys had fun on the other end. And hopefully, if you want to visit us at GameSenseMA.com or macgh.org, you can certainly get more information that way as well. But please, if you're in the casinos, please stop at the GameSense Center and say hi and play it smart, Massachusetts. Thank you.